first discussion we're going to have for this unit is going to be the nature versus nurture debate. I've included 2 videos coming up right on after that will help go over these, and then I'll show you the worksheet that we're going to do together and you answer questions because of course I'm giving you work. So simply put, nature is our genetics. What do we not have actual control over? And nurture is our environment and how we were raised. And so there's a big discussion in psychology as to which one of these 2 elements takes over more of the personality. How much has dyslexia defined me? How much has ADHD defined me? How much has my brown eyes and brown hair defined me, or my height? All of those are factors that are influenced by my genetics. But I mentioned that last one. Height isn't necessarily only due to genetic conditions, but also environmental. So it's also due to what food I've been having, or nutritional rate, or environment, like actual outdoor environment. So all of those backgrounds and all those different environments all play into how people develop the way they do. Skin tone and color. Yes, that's genetic, but it's also influenced by just how much sunlight under the sun's direct rays they receive. And if you look at a map and you just look at skin color based on places in the world, you're going to notice the closer to the equator, the darker the skin is because of just melanin. It's what gives us our brown hair color, eye color, and pigment, but it's also what's closer to the skin to withstand some of the sun's rays. All of those things impact who we are and what happens to us. So from all of that, let's go into the first debate, the nature versus nurture debate.
Have you noticed that you're different to your relations, parents or carers, your next door neighbour, the kid who lives across the street, and everyone else on the planet? In fact, you're unique. But do you really know why you are different? Why are we all different to each other? Why does any organism have different characteristics to another organism? The answer lies in a long-running debate called nature versus nurture, or genetics versus environment, which is a little less catchy. Nature refers to our genetics, the unique combination of genes that we have naturally inherited from our biological parents from their DNA. Many characteristics are controlled by our genes, including our blood group, eye colour, or natural hair colour. Some diseases are also caused by our genes. For example, cystic fibrosis. The colour of a flower or a fruit is controlled by genes in plants. Nurture refers to the effect of the environment on characteristics. The word literally means care. Examples of characteristics that are determined by the environment are weight or mass, which is dependent on your diet, or the presence of a scar. Some diseases may be caused by environmental influences, such as type 2 diabetes or coronary heart disease. Imagine a plant has not received enough sunlight or water. This may influence the height of the plant or the number of fruits produced. We would say that the environment has influenced these characteristics too, or that a plant has been affected by nurture. Can you decide if each of these characteristics is controlled by inherited characteristics, the environment, or both? Where would each go on a Venn diagram? Pause the video while you think. Did you get them all right? The effect of genetics and the environment on characteristics has been researched using identical twins. Can you think why this is? Identical twins have identical DNA, so in theory should have identical characteristics. It follows that any differences between a pair of identical twins could be due to the influence of the environment on their characteristics. In fact, twins often grow up to have very different personalities and preferences beyond their physical similarities. These studies showed that many characteristics are influenced by both genetics and the environment. Some studies actually used twins' identical genomes as a control to prove the effect of the environment on the body. For example, one study showed how skin aged differently by comparing smoker twins with non-smoker twins. Remember that the characteristics of a living organism are influenced by its genetics and its interaction with the environment, so both nature and nurture are responsible.
Please like and share our videos with your friends. If you have any questions that you want help with, just comment below.
Anyway, these are Riley's memories, and they're mostly happy, you'll notice, not to brag. But the really important ones are over here. I don't want to get too technical, but these are called core memories. Each one came from a super important time in Riley's life, like when she first scored a goal. Oh, that was so amazing. And each core memory powers a different aspect of Riley's personality. Like Hockey Island. Goofball Island is my personal favorite.
Come back here, you little monkey!
Yep, Goofball is the best.
So for this assignment, what I want you to do here is you read over the nature versus nurture debate. So it looks like, Superman, his nature, the fact that, he's Kryptonian from a different planet. So of course he's got some inherent traits. I forget what it was. His density is so light. That's why he lives and have the ability to fly. There's all kinds of science to explain Superman's abilities. Or the nurture of Clark Clark is his name. Oh shoot. Anyway, Martha Kent and, because of the stupid Batman and Superman movie, both of them had Martha as their mom's name. I forget what the dad's name. It's going to bother me, but whoever. His parents raised him to be good old, Kansas folk of truth, justice, American way, and all that fun stuff. So how did these elements form to create Superman? So first activity for you all, answer those questions. They're on Canvas already, so you get to do that, and then we'll continue on with the next bit. You probably can pause it. I'm sure you're having so much fun doing it this way, but hey, it's a little bit more polished together and fitting, I hope, and not horrible. So the second major theme is called continuity versus discontinuity, and what that debate is about is how do we develop over time? Do we develop over time over a steady escalator, basically? Is human development, our psychological development, is it continually moving forward in a straight line upward? And so are we dealing with issues and ideas throughout our lifetime as we go throughout our development? And so that's the continuity of it all, that things are just a continuous path of development as we build and build and build and build. The second theory is focused on what's called discontinuity, that there are stages and gaps, and our minds basically take a step up every single time. And so as our minds develop at certain stages, we go from this level of stage to this stage to this stage, and we build. It's almost like if one is an escalator, continuity, the other one is a elevator, but it hits every single floor as it goes up. So we go up, ding, up, ding, up, ding. I know, but the point here is there's still a debate as to what and how our brains develop over time. And so is our formation of identity something that only happens at certain ages, or is it constantly checked as we get older and older? Is this really who I am? Is this really who I am? And what do we do with that information if we have one opinion or another. So let's look at the next worksheet. So for this assignment, we're looking here at Peter Parker as the example, or Miles Morales, because the Spider-Man theme or character has always had this same thing, or the Spider-Verse, where all of them have the same kind of background. But once again, you get it. So in this case, continuity is, here you have a teenager going through his teenage years, developing a sense of identity and self, and progressing that way in a continuous motion forward. However, in this case, being bit by a radioactive spider transforms him and his body into Spider-Man. And so how much of that is discontinuous, of stages of, okay, he's now a teenager and this happens to him, what goes on and what has changed in steps and stages versus what is continuous. So probably not the best example to use, but it works. Go ahead and answer these questions now. So the next one to do is stability versus change. And in that debate, the idea is whether or not something is considered fixed, or personality traits stay the same throughout someone's life, or as they develop in intelligence or personality or whatever, that they change throughout time, that you can change your personality, you can have shifts, you can have things that change you rather than the sets you were set up as. And so that debate gets into it too. Those of you that did the personality tests that I gave you, most of that theory says that those are your preferences and those stay your preferences. And sometimes they might show up stronger than others, or you have appreciation for the other side. But your preferences are your preferences. And as a side note, those of you who took that test or exam, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the accurate one. It's what you reported. Talking to someone who knows what they're talking about, like through training, like me, would be one way to use it to understand if that's exactly what you are, and then you decide. So that exam didn't tell you if you are or not. Anyways, with this stability versus change dynamic is whether or not we continue that way. And one of the ways I tried to show you with it was the dynamic version, or how things change, is through the Tetris game and playing chess. You develop in your mind the more you go, and your brain gets stronger at these things. So it shows you a little bit that intelligence is not as fixed as we think it is. So is personality, is identity, So the last worksheet here is using Batman as an example, where Bruce Wayne, a young child, witnesses the murder of his children, witnesses the murder of his parents. You haven't seen a Batman movie? Because, like, seriously, almost every Batman movie rehashes that same thing. It's almost one of those tiring superhero origin stories, because it's even in Joker. Spoilers, it's not really that bad. But it's in Joker, it's in Batman Begins. First Batman, you see a Batman movie and it's almost like, gosh, gotta relive that one. So he sees his parents die. What changes? What continues from his life? So obviously, wealthy kid, well taken care of, well groomed, witnesses the murder of his parents. So was he going to stay that way? Was he always going to be Batman? Or did that trigger a new life for him? And that becomes a debate. What if he had those things in that opportunity and was that bored kid, even if he wasn't an orphan, would he still be doing that? We don't know. That's the question. So go ahead and answer these, and there's a few more after that, and we're good.